joining us again. Okay. Just to give you guys a quick recap. I'm not going to go over our theoretical concepts again now because we've already done theory, did the recap, then got back to coding. Now in terms of like building the application, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things before we get started, right? How does an application look like? A blockchain application. Because I went back, rewatched the video from day 2 and I did realize a lot of you did not understand what I was talking about because it was too scattered around, and I think our minds were not to it because of the weather also. So I'm just going to give you first a structure and then we'll dive deeper into Yes, exactly. So any application, right? Specifically Starknet application, do not hold me accountable if other applications don't have this structure, but a blockchain application or a Starknet application has a front end, now the back end and blockchain is together because you are writing the smart contract, which is going to we are going to talk about how Cairo is going to help you and how the smart contract will implement the whole thing, right? So it's going to be the front end and the back end is in the smart contract, okay? All the functions that's happening, right? Now front end we use something called as scaffold UI, okay? It is if you know what ShadCN is, then you would know what scaffold UI is, but in case you don't know what ShadCN is, basically scaffold UI does nothing but give you predefined components that you can use. Like it will give you a UI, it will give you a nice UI, it will have components that you can keep reusing, like let's say a button, or you don't need to completely define the styles or the way the component is used, right? It gives you predefined components. Plus it also lets you do the editing and stuff, right? Okay. For UI, we use scaffold UI. Now scaffold is again an organization that's working on Starknet, right? So they are trying to build for the mobile version. They have not yet fully compatibly built the component architecture / library for the mobile one, but they are fully developed for the web one, okay? So whenever you are building a web app, use scaffold UI for the front end. It's going to make things a lot easier.
For any web app?
For a Starknet web app. For us, I am going to stick to Starknet now, okay? For a Starknet web app, okay? You can definitely try and use it, but I know you can use it for Starknet, okay? It works smoothly for Starknet. Now coming to the smart contract, we're writing the smart contract in Cairo, right? There are a couple of things, and we talked about scarp.toml, and I'm going to get back into that as well. But a smart contract is basically written in Cairo. It has this structure where there's a trade, there's an action, and there's an implementation, and I'm going to explain each one of it to you. But usually, whenever you want to write a smart contract, you define the trade, you define an action for that trade, and then you implement that action. This is how it works. Literally, you define a trade, then you define an action over that trade, and then you implement the action. You getting my point? Right? And in terms of now, when you write a smart, even if you write the backend of a general application, right? What happens? You need to test it. Now there are two types of testing if you guys have heard about: unit testing and integration testing, right? Both of them can very easily be done on using Foundry, Starknet Foundry, right? Because we are using it for smart contracts also. This is the basic architecture that you need to know. This is how you are going to build an application. Whether you are building it with AI, whether you are building it on your own, if you understand how this works, that's all that you need, okay? This is what I'm going to get started with. Then we are going to quickly do a recap of everything that we learned till now, right?
Sounds good.
First one is, we talked about the 3 commands, right? It was scarb init, okay? And it was scarb execute, scarb prove, and scarb verify, 4 commands, scarb verify, right? Now, whenever you are not using smart contracts or you want to execute a program that's written, it does not have to be for smart contracts is what I'm telling you. It can be for general, right?
But this Scarb is a command unique to Cairo.
Cairo, yes. It's unique to Cairo. So Scarb init, Scarb execute, Scarb prove and Scarb verify, we already tried and tested this, where if you want to initialize a Scarb project for Cairo, you use Scarb init. If you want to execute a project for Cairo, you using Scarb, right? You do Scarb execute. If you want to prove, you use Scarb prove, and if you want to verify, you use Scarb verify. Very simple, right? Now, for testing, there is something called as sorry, not for testing. We'll get into testing now. That when we initialized, right, the two runners that you saw it was saying, right, choose which one you wanted to choose. When you initialized the project, it was Starknet Foundry and Cairo test. Now some of you had nothing because it depends on the version of the program, right? When you did Scarb init, it asks you what do you want to do, right? This is for smart contracts and this is for just general Cairo testing, right? Cairo programming and Cairo language, because remember Cairo can be used out of Starknet also. Okay, next up we talked about Scarb.toml, right? What was Scarb.toml? Can somebody tell me?
Yeah, I used it on code.com. This TOML, we did some, we added libraries, right?
Yes,
I remember
it was
that.
our package.json basically.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Yeah, I thought I did.
In fact, it's there in your projects. If you can open up Scarb.toml, then I'll explain it to you. Or I will only open it up here and show you. See. If I just go back, so this is a public repository that you can look at. It has all of the basic fundamentals of Cairo that I will be using for teaching, right? And this is like a Starknet Cairo project only. So, if you go into your Scarb.toml, you will see the name, the version and the edition, right? Now, this dependencies that we are talking about is the dependencies that you use in production.
Sorry, how do I get it? Just remember, you have this repo already. It's the same one we downloaded earlier, right? Or we didn't change the repo.
Which one did we download?
The one you had from last week on Wednesday.
No, that was Starkup. Okay, Starkup is different. I will tell you what the difference is, and I will send this repo to you immediately right now.
Okay,
just give me a second.
Okay, now let me just get this done.
Yes, just pay attention for now. Last week we used, last week, 2 days ago. 2 days ago we used Starkup. Okay. Starkup is like a package. It's this the repository that we were in, right? That I showed you last week. What did they do initially? Before, as a developer, what you have to do? Install Scarb separate, install SN Foundry, then Cairo test, all of these. Now, when you do Scarb -- version, you are not only getting Scarb's version. You are getting 3-4 more versions, and I'm going to show that to you just to make this better.
Clear.
Yeah. I will just close this slide.
Yeah, I just put off both. It's better that way. I was working without both lights.
Yeah, much better, right?
Yeah, it will be better without
if you can see.
I did it yesterday on Sunday.
If you can, now you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So when we do SCARB -- version, right? What is happening here? You don't only see Scarb version, you also see Cairo's version, you see Sierra's.
Yeah.
Now, if you also do this command, snforge -- version, right? You can see snforge 0.48.1. This is used for testing basically. snforge, it means Starknet Forge, which is for smart contracts and testing. Okay. Now, if you are not using the repository that I showed you last week, because it only gave us one command that we copied and pasted in our terminal, right? If you are not using that, each of these you have to individually install from the documentation, official documentation of Starknet. Individually go ahead, install each one of them, see if their versions is compatible with each other. So what did the developers do?
But what's so hard about that? You're just putting in 3 different line commands instead of 1.
No, it's not 3 different line commands, right? You should also find if this version is compatible with that version.
What does that mean? Why do I have to worry about it?
So, I will tell you why you have to. Because as a developer, right, when you are installing packages and versions, right, it's super important they're compatible with each other. They work with each other. Like for example, if your system does not, if your operating system, right, cannot handle Windows 10. Let's say it's an old laptop, it cannot handle Windows 10 or 11, it will break. It will not work, right? That's the same, yeah, because I had like a 2012 laptop where I tried installing Windows 11. It had like Windows 7, Windows 8, right? It had Windows 7. I tried installing Windows 11 onto it and it completely broke. It was not working. When I say broke, I don't mean like it blasted or something like that. It does not function. You will not, it's super slow because its operating system is not made for its hardware is not made for the operating system that I installed on it, right? That's the same case with packages also. The only time I was stuck in a 16-hour loop is when during my major project when I was building on R3 Coda, and the project that I was building was a central bank digital currency, CBDC. We wanted to implement CBDC, right? And because I was using R3 Coda and the project that I was working on required a specific version of Java built by a specific software organization, not even the general version of Java, like not even from the general repository. It needed the specific version of Java from this specific organization to be compatible with my the other library that I was trying to run, and I was just stuck in the loop of changing the version. Had to get my professor in, and then she figured out that the version I was using is wrong. So this is the issue. Like if your versions are not compatible, no matter how beautifully you build the system, it will break. Right? So what did the Starknet developers do? They combined all of this together under Starkup, which we ran one command and we got everything that's compatible with each other. Now they keep updating this to the latest versions, to the latest stable versions that are compatible with each other, right? If there is any issues, they will figure it out and they will fix it, raise, pull it. All of that is happening because it's open source. But you get my point now. Why we used Starknet?
That's why only Bitcoin is my focus. I mean, the amount of iterations that come in when you choose something else, you better stick to it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's very difficult. Today, what works? Next time, you try to build the same, all deprecated.
This is where Docker comes into the picture, right? Docker is a containerization or a container orchestration tool that will help you. Like for example, I am a developer, right? And I am building multiple projects at the same time. Something I am building for a client, one project I am building as my own hobby project, there's another project. And all of these might, now there's chances that everybody requires the same version and everything is fine, right? But there's also chances that some projects require different versions, some require the latest version, some require. So all of these, if you're using Docker, you can containerize them. Like in this container, I am only going to use Java 8 or maybe Cairo, 2.10 instead of 2.11, like all of this. It totally depends on your system's requirements, like on your project requirements.
Counter with that, so you can figure out.
Exactly, and as a dev, it is like most of the time what happens is the issue that you went through, somebody else also has gone through. And the 16-hour loop that I'm talking about, I was trying to figure it out with, AI, what is wrong. And
so maybe this is like, so when you did that, when you're building, are you always building in separate Docker containers for this reason?
Yes.
So how many Docker containers will you have open right now on average? Are you playing with it again?
Docker
Yeah, it would give containers, but Docker is currently not running on this system. This is like a backup system for me. I have my home system.
On that you would have
like,
hundreds
in fact, I just yesterday saw a story of my where is my, my phone is there. he literally had like 500 GB running on Docker, utilized by Docker containers. 500 GB worth of data, and then he put up a story saying, hey fellow devs, remember to clean up your Docker containers because this is what is going to, and his system crashed. So he literally put up a story just yesterday saying that this happened with him. So that's how usually devs work out,
So
right?
you have to, right? Because in this case, so you would set up a Docker.
Yeah.
And
then I will install images
always
into the
living there,
Docker.
right?
Exactly. Into that Docker. Now
That's
the
how you
reason
combat
I
using
did that.
multiple changes.
That's
yeah,
new one.
now
Yeah.
exactly, you can use, that's what, you can build multiple projects on different versions and everything as long as your Docker is very beautiful. But if you are doing it on your system, right, that's when you might encounter version issues constantly. You have to keep checking with versions and stuff. So, but we are not going to learn Docker today because that's
cool.
not,
No,
that's out of way out of scope.
But that's just a box. All you're doing is box. Docker is just designing a box and then you're building inside this box.
Yeah, it's a container and you're building inside the container. That's it. Yeah, exactly. So now when you see, now we talked about Starkup and why we are using Starkup. We can definitely use a Docker container, install everything individually, check their compatibility, and depending on our project requirements, run it accordingly, right? But now I did Starkup because I downloaded it on my main system. So I wanted everything to be compatible. I did not want to go through the issues of like incompatibility, and that's why I downloaded this. Now, in any project, when we do Scarp in it, you guys saw that they created some fundamental files, right? They created a skeleton for you. One was scarp.uml, there was a lib.cairo, it had a structure, right? If you see, if you see in your project, there was a hello world.cairo, lib.cairo, the src, then there's scarp.toml, right? Scarp.toml is a super important file because what does it say? It talks about all the dependencies that you need. It talks about it talks about every script that exists, every tool that you need, dev dependencies. Now, what's the difference between dev dependencies and dependencies? Dependencies are used in production. Now there are two environments that usually developers work in. One is the developer environment, which is like the testnet. They are playing around, they're testing things, right? And the production environment is what goes live and is available to the public. So dev dependency, now you might have some dependencies that you only need during development phase and not in production. That's when you use it under dev dependencies. Under dependencies, all the main dependencies exist, right? The package, it's very simple. It has the name, version, and the which year/edition this is in. Right. Now, in terms of dependencies, if you are not using,
so like these are all just little programs or scripts, right? Basically, they're all just different libraries.
Yeah,
which is what the library. Even the library is just a reference.
No.
all of it.
If you it
run
imports
it,
everything into the project, right? Like for example, we talked about Alexandria_math when we wanted to do math operation. Now let's say if I wanted to calculate the power of a number in my program, what will I have to do? I'll have to actually define function. Define a function that would basically, what I mean is I will have to define the function that would give me the power, right? And it has to return like a U32, and then it because it will take a number of which it has to, then this is U32, and then X is and because it's returning, because it's returning something, I'll take temp equals to x into depending on how much power also I want, then I have to take another addition. All of this in one line you can do by using Alexandria_math. You don't need to define the entire function. This is something that I noticed when I was watching the recording, because I did explain to you why do you need these libraries, right? Now, you need them because you don't want to spend time on these basic things that people have already defined. Now, some people, what they will do for efficiency or depending how much production power they have, they will try and use minimal libraries only. It totally depends on how much cloud power you have, right? But generally, these are very small directives. Now, when this library also you look at that, there is a version there, right? When you go on to when you go on to scarbs.xyz, right? That's when you find all of the libraries, and that's when you will find the latest version, how many versions are there, and I'm going to show that to you so that we're just not confused again, right? I told you, you can go on to scarbs.xyz, right? That's the Cairo package registry. So all of the packages that have been that you need. And how do you search? Remember, Alvin, I was showing the other day, you can search the package by name here. But if you literally Google, right, maybe arithmetic operations, libraries, Cairo, then literally alexandria.math will come. I will show you. Wait. Power operation in Cairo package should give us Cairo language. Just a second. Wait, that's very broken. Scarp package for our operation. I did this also. Software mansion is showing.
There it is. XYZ, I saw it.
I also saw
One
it,
second,
sir.
I saw it. There it is.
This, right? But
Yeah.
it's not the shell one. I don't know why it's like, I think there's some mistake in what I'm typing, but it's not the shell one, it's the, but you get the point, right? You can Google and do AI and find out which package you want to use.
That's right.
That's when we found out we can use Alexandria_math. We're searching it, we find it here. We go on to it, you will see how many downloads, how many versions, how many, like, and remember I talked about like how compatibility works, right? See, it says version 0.9.0 works with any version from 2.15 all the way, like it works till 2.15, right? Anything other than that would like cause you issues and errors, and this might not work, or the version specific. In fact, if you go on to 13 versions, right, you can also see 0.9.0 works for 2.15 and above. This works for 2.14, 2.13. Can you see how they're matching the versions of the package to the Cairo version that you should use in?
So,
Did you get it?
so here's a
Sort of. Well, so you're saying that this is, it's already, you're saying it's already packaged here in each of these.
No, it is showing
Yeah.
you which version will work with what.
Of Alexandria.
Yeah, and
So
so
yeah.
if see, we want to calculate the power. We are writing a smart contract that will just give us the power of a number, right? And we want to use Alexandria_math. Now to use Alexandria_math package, it has a version number. Now what does the version number mean? Basically, they are adding more, functions to it, making more developments, improving it, right?
Pause for a second.
Okay.
When you started the project,
Okay.
in the JSON or in the
Yeah.
star TOML,
Yes,
you
yes.
defined these packages.
Yes.
Why would those packages could be different from these packages is what you're saying.
Which packages?
In the scar TOML. that
You can
started.
define any package there.
Okay, but you're saying these ones only work.
Everyone is looking at you, freaked out. Anton, you made it.
I'm good. How are you? Anyways,
Anton
getting
meets
back.
Satya. Okay, so before you go, Satyam, here's one iteration. Create me an additional module with labs.
What?
Are you teaching everybody?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
You
Oh my
got
God.
one.
You got that from Saudi Arabia?
No, it's from the store next door.
I thought you went to.
I didn't have to cross.
I went to Saudi Arabia. I went to Saudi Arabia.
He went to Saudi
funny. You ended up buying it. That doesn't tell you everything right there. That's so awesome.
Going to Turkey and buying your Turkish delight at Eaton Center.
It's the same analogy as what you're kind of going through. It's a long. Please continue. Sorry. So I'm trying to understand. So these things mean only that Alexandria math function library will only work on
depending on the version, right? It's giving the Cairo version here. It's showing which version of Cairo will this be compatible to.
I see.
So every library, right? And we're going to use more libraries now going forward, right? I will show you which libraries, which version will work with what. Okay? If you can see, 0.9.0 is the latest one, but when we built this, okay, that time also it was latest, or somebody updated this recently.
So Alexandria math will only work on that specific version of Cairo. And then what were the other two variable?
When there is this, right, it means anything, this version or anything around it, like that way.
Got it.
You are getting that. This, if this doesn't exist, then that time it would be like specifically that version only. Anything this or below, like that.
Okay.
Understood?
Got it.
So that's how it works. This is where you define your dependencies, right? Now, what is Cairo execute? When you want to execute, now there are two ways, right? The other day we ran scarb execute. For running scarb execute, under the dependencies, you need Cairo underscore execute as a package. For running that scarb execute command that we ran, you will need that Cairo underscore execute package in your library, because then it will combine, it will help you execute the program. Plus, there is now SN4 underscore STD is for like smart contracts. We will get into it. We'll get into the smart contracts part. Now, executable basically means what do you want to execute when you do scarb execute, right? In your cases, if you open up your VS Code, open up VS Code. Yeah, if you can see, go in helloworld.cairo. Can you see that hashtag executable on the top? That's only when this program will get executed. Right? If you have executable on the top, then only it will get executed. Otherwise, it's not like that program is not the one that gets executed. You know how you need a function that you want to execute? You write hashtag executable at the top. Okay? That is how it works.
We had an issue with that on Family Island.
I had an issue with that when I was teaching you guys, but then I and Nitin sat down and resolved it, because I thought the beauty of VS Code or Cursor, right? You can set it up according to your needs. Like if I am building so many projects in Cairo, or I am working continuously with Cairo, I can set it up that when I run scarb in it, right, it should already add the executable, already add these basic things. Because it already gives you a skeleton, right? Now you can also create, these. There's a lot of extensions that you can use that will automatically add everything that I specifically need. You can basically, what I'm trying to say, you can customize your dev environment the way you want it to be, right? So on my main home system, it's customized like that. That's why that went out of my mind, and when I was running it on this computer, it was not working. So we figured it out that day only, that I didn't have Cairo execute, I did not have executable written here, and I did not, my program on my function, it didn't have hashtag executable. This is used when you want to execute, okay? And if you saw the other day, now I said there are two ways. Now another one is, if you want to do tests, right, you do hashtag test. This is how you do it, okay? And next up, now I will get into tests and everything, but there is one more thing that I wanted to show you. If you are not doing smart contracts and you are just doing, Cairo programming, right? Because remember we talked about the concept of gas in smart contracts? How would your system know that you should take gas or not? And what if it takes gas for what if it doesn't understand if it needs to take gas or not? Means there is here you need, because we are executing smart contracts here, that's why it's not written. But if we are doing Cairo project, right, that time you have to create something like this, Cairo, okay, and then you should write enable gas equals to false. You are getting my point? Why we do that? Why are we doing that? Tell me.
So that you don't get out of gas.
Welcome, sir.
Okay, heads up.
Yeah, I would say you're being explicit and clear, so that things don't break later. And there's no other assumption.
Yes.
You're just
Because see,
defining.
I know all of us are going to watch food. It's if you don't use AI, the person using AI will replace you. So we are not promoting you not using AI, right? We're trying to make you understand the principles, the structure, the fundamental, so that you don't have to, so that you can build it better and more efficiently than just building a system that would break on production.
But conceptually, all you're saying is define the dependencies, define the libraries, define the parameters, define the constraints, be explicit on what it should do and not do in this file. That's essentially, and there's a bunch of specifics to reach that objective.
Yes, and most of the times, if specifically because I use ChatGPT, I don't know about other LLMs and how things are working, this would not be included in the solution that they provide. When I use ChatGPT to whiteboard or use Cursor also, the Cursor AI that exists, right? It would not explicitly give me this, right? Unless and until that's where prompt engineering comes into the picture, right? You need to engineer it in such a way, if it's breaking also you have to be able to read that error and then neutralize it there. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to explain you the main file where all of the dependencies are, right? And this is something that a lot of people miss, that sometimes it says, your gas is not defined or we don't know how much gas you have to take and stuff. If you're just building on Cairo, then enable gas is false. Okay, in fact, if you're like even running it on testnet and stuff, then enable gas is false. You can also enable it to true, to use gas. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Okay. Now, coming to, this is all about spark.toml. You understood, right? This file is like your package, the entry to your package. I am going to now go into
Cool. That was clear.
That was clear? Perfect. No, okay, I am clear. Sorry. What was I doing? Now, next up is understanding all of these. These are like the fundamental concepts. We talked about functions, we talked about integers, we did the, I'm giving you a brief recap. In case any of you have doubts, you let me know that you did understand that specific part, right? Because we talked about, now,
sorry, we talked about integers. What is there to talk about integers? Integers isn't, like what's, integers are
Just
just a
give
small
a
building
value
block, right?
I will tell you what's there to talk about integers. So firstly, just to remind you, under source there is going to be lib.cairo, which is going to hold everything else together. It's the main file that will just import everything, and individually around the place wherever you write the functions that will be imported in the lib.cairo. In fact, even in your lib.cairo also, you would see something like this. It says mod hello world in your lib.cairo. This, you saw the other files in the source folder, right? All of those we are importing in lib.cairo just so that they can, they get executed, basically. They get tested. Now, these are all tests. I'm going to show you how to run tests as well. Okay? But coming back to what is there to talk about integers?
Functions.
And
functions, well, functions you kind of explained in terms of you can pull from like math dot, whatever this was.
Let me just go through it, right? We talked about integers where I showed you the data types of different integers. Unsigned integers from U8 to U256 existed. We're talking about how to declare a variable and declare its type. Now that type, one of the types is an integer, right? There are data types of what a variable can be. It can be a letter, it can be a word, it can be a number, right? So we talked about integers where we were like, how do we declare a variable as an integer, right? So there were unsigned integers from U8 to U256. There were signed integers which were from I8 to I128. I256 does not exist because I120 it's signed. It's minus 128 to plus 128, right? We also talked about how we can for unsigned integers you can also use usize, which basically technically means U32. Right. There's also another way of declaring a variable which I talked about was by writing underscore U8 or U32 or whatever the data type is, explicitly declaring the variable, right? So this is how you can declare variables, okay? And when you're executing a program or running a program, testing a program, right? If you do not use the variable that you declare, it will give you a warning saying that, or it will actually, like for example, if you're using cursor, right, it will become red or yellow, like it would be underlined red or yellow, saying that this is an unused variable. That time what you can do, start it with an underscore which will say like even if this is unused, do not give me warnings.
And that's basically just flagging the inefficiency.
Yes, inefficiency. So that's what we learned in integers. And the numbers that you see here are basically the largest number that can be stored in, let's say I128, I64, I32, like the largest numbers that can be stored, 32-bit numbers. That's what we looked at here. Now, defining a test here, if you can see, hashtag CFG bracket test basically means the following module that's following this slide is going to contain all of the tests. And you need to run that using the test command and not the execute command, okay? And I'm going to show you what the test command is. But we did basic tests. We talked about underflow, overflow, and how like felt 252 does not handle overflow or underflow, right? Remember? You don't remember. But yeah, we talked about overflows and overflow protection, saying that it would still execute and not throw you an error if it was felt 252, right? How come you forgot? Was the storm that bad?
We went through this one? Okay.
No, we went
Yeah,
through this on Saturday.
We did go through this.
But you know what? That was so brief. This is a refresher for him. I see where he's coming from here.
Yeah.
Sunday I sat and I did a few things, but this I didn't focus on.
Yeah, but I'm just giving you fundamentals so that you understand how a data type works, right?
So Satya, if you're creating a lab and you want a specific module for this, put Alexandria plus this version plus that version and say create a lab for my refresher using these.
Exactly, but then you would not see the whole reason that I'm telling you. Sometimes what happens is when you say like do this math operation and if it uses felt, right, then you wouldn't know where your application would break because it's underflowing or overflowing. You don't use felt anymore anyways. So like these are all tests, okay?
Given that this is the main reason programs break, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't you just create like agents to watch out for this? Their pure job, an agent to look at my code base before I run it. Make sure all of these
If
are in
agents
line.
were that,
Yeah,
if only agents were that intelligent.
They're getting there. They're getting there.
No,
No.
no. That's why I want you to sit and build a project that I
That's
gave.
what.
The ideas that I gave you on Saturday, right? Sit and build one project and you would know that coders or developers are not going anywhere for at least the next 10
This I
years.
agree. And this is what I don't have time for. I told him, going from here, whatever has been achieved is fantastic. I can create something for refreshing it. But will I have the time to participate in the hackathon and code? That
No,
is a
when
real-
you
real
have
commitment.
see, this is where developers come into the picture, where you have the debugging skills to debug the crap that AI has written. And I'm so sorry for the word, but it's crap only, whatever AI writes. Right? To understand if it is, because you definitely can write code project for the hackathon, but is it production level? Because the moment you go on to production, right, you are losing money. Where are you losing money? Because you host it.
Inefficient. Why? You're losing money. Why? Because it's
See,
too much lower
Depending on what
no,
you're-
see, you take your code, you place it on the cloud, okay? Now, to access these cloud services, you are paying money. If you have something like this, where there is an inefficiency, it will burn a lot of your cloud credits, you are losing money. That's why it's called whether this
Inefficient.
code,
But,
yes,
but once you have the finished final program, right?
yes.
you scrub it for inefficiencies, you break down each component. No, it's not as simple as that, because it's like you're just taking principles and you're pulling them together, but you're just saying, hey, take these principles, whip up this, like what you just did here. This is kind of, I know.
It sounds fancy. I'm telling you, right? No.
I can knock basic things off the ground.
No.
So I'm just wondering what this is.
It sounds easy. I'm telling you.
So I have a budget of $30,000. I want to put 15,000 each, one in Scribe project, one in Cairo and Starknet, and one in Ordinance. If I give it to you with the inexperience, I'm not going to have what I get if I give it to her or her for their experience.
No, it's not even about the experience. I'm telling you, the way that you are making it sound, it definitely sounds easy, and that's what AI, LLM developers, builders are promising you. But is that the reality is my question. No matter.
But I'm trying to understand why.
Just try.
If those, I know, I hear you, but it's just scaled up. It's just scaled up the same
Because
concept.
I will tell you
You can
something.
do it. You can build. I can try this with a Hello World program that's this big. Conceptually, we would all agree. Okay, here's a build. Here are the parameters. Here's
But try and
this.
see.
Agent,
You
do this.
need to be right. You gotta try.
Yeah. Oh,
I love how he doesn't
have no choice.
want to. I love how he doesn't want to counter on you. And he's like, you tried yourself and you missed.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
You're absolutely right. No, I am going to. I have no choice.
You should definitely try it. Then you will understand where AI breaks and what are where development is still required. Because I feel like it does not still have the analytical ability to how you're saying, right? Let's build an agent that can analyze for inefficiencies. The agent is the one giving the inefficient code. The agent is the one that's giving the errors and code. Yeah, so you have to understand where that's where. So, like I said, devs generally we're getting a lot faster at our jobs, right? Where what took us like over months is now taking us only weeks. That's because of the efficiency that we're bringing in through like using these models to vibe code a product, but then again rigorously testing. That's where testing also comes in, right? You're rigorously testing for any breaks, anything. In fact, all of these tests that we have defined, we've also defined tests where we are saying it should fail, so that we know that it's failing for the right reasons, right? You're getting my point?
Yeah.
That's where the testing and the debugging and everything comes into the picture.
So just zooming out for a second, this project, what is the purpose of this project that you're showing us right now?
It's just
She's
explaining
just
it
teaching
well
us
to
how
the
it
teachers,
works,
yeah.
ground level.
But I know, that's what you're doing.
Project idea, I couldn't think of myself. What is
I
zero
gave you
knowledge?
project ideas the other day
You
on
did.
Saturday,
I didn't snap it.
That's fine. I will send it again. That's not an issue.
Very
No,
common.
I was asking in the sense of the analogy. Okay, so keep going.
What?
No. My question wasn't clear. Keep going.
Okay. So these are tests that we tried doing with integers. Now, what tests we did try? We tried understanding fast power, fast square root. This came from Alexandria_math for integers, right? Now, the next up that was there was we also looked at the Fibonacci series, how to generate that in Cairo, right? Where we executed a function, where I executed a function on my system, right? And we also checked if it works and if it is giving the same answer also. Right? I can run this again for you just so that.
Can I ask you one question on that?
Yes.
That Fibonacci sequence right there.
Yes.
Is that code you would write today yourself, or you would give that to an AI to say write the sequence for me based on this library?
Write a program for me that would calculate the Fibonacci series. There's no library in this one.
Right. So this little function that you put in here, right? Everything
Yes.
under. Would you have written that if you go home to do this? Would you write that yourself, or today you would pump that into an AI?
Into AI, yes.
For sure. Right.
Yes, for sure, absolutely.
Okay. So we're saying,
now what I'm trying to say is
yeah.
where it gets complicated is now we're going to get into smart contracts. That's where you will understand the reason I showed you the skeleton, that straight action and implementation. What happens is it's all honestly, if you're speaking to me, if it's all about prompt engineering and figuring out where AI is missing out, right?
Sure.
Now, when I give it the perfect prompt, right, ChatGPT usually stops working. because it's like this is too much thinking for me. And I'm very serious. It's literally like that. I will show you a project that I'm working on, my POC, right? Yep, I think it is. Yep, this one.
Ta-da! Just kidding.
Wait. Look at it. First of all, it's taking so much time because I have like prompted it so much, right? Now, wherever it is breaking, look at this. When it's compiling, wait, this I restarted recently. But if you can see, it's making these small mistakes where it's like writing equal to true. That's not making it get executed. Then I have to like put in like errors where I said unnecessary comparison is happening. Like, why are you doing this? And I had to like, when I made it write my smart contract initially, right, it's full of errors. So then what did I do? Because whether you are a dev, you're out of time or whatever, I took the entire thing, put it back in, pointed out the errors. Still, it was not able to eventually like pinpoint each error. Then I had to sit down, pinpoint each error, point it out to them, and then say like, look at this. Like every single error I had to like write down, pinpoint it, saying this method is not found. Like try all of these, what I found in the documentation, understand this. The researching from the documentation, the understanding what error is happening, all of that will only come if you understand foundations / fundamentals / skeleton, right? What is going on, where it is getting wrong, why it is emitting an event like this and not like this. You're getting my point? Because it throws all of these errors, and then suddenly it's adding like, I don't know, libraries like this that I've not heard about. So where is this coming from? Right? AI has not been trained enough to replace humans, in my personal opinion.
No, I wasn't trying to say that. Yeah, but I hear you.
But you understand my point? Like it will, see, I'll show you in fact the start of this, right? Where I told it, like I gave it the complete problem statement, and then look at this. I also gave it all of the errors that I was getting in hopes that it would clear everything out in one go, right? Look at this. The first one that I wrote, I got so many errors. Okay, I gave them all at once and said like, solve my error, like what is this? So you are seeing these errors. It tried and it said I will replace the contract that will compile without these errors, and then it replaced it to me, and I still got those errors because it is not individually able to analytically pinpoint, leave efficient coding. It's not able to analytically pinpoint where the errors are coming from, why the errors are coming from, what the changes in the new version and the previous version is, right? Which of all of these is happening. So that's the reason you need to understand the foundations to understand. You need to understand these versions to understand, okay, this is a version issue, okay, this is this issue. You need to be able to read the errors, understand what's happening in the whole program, right? If you do not understand only what's happening in the program, then how would you understand what's happening, what's going wrong with your product?
Yep.
Got it?
So again, what I would say is, she is pointing a method, you are pointing a different method. What Antoine said was probably right. Sometimes when you really throw the right thing in white coding, you get something that is good also. And that's
I'm not saying white coding is bad. I'm not saying white coding is bad.
Something that is good, you hodl onto it and use it in different places because it works.
Yeah.
But what she's saying is also equally
It's
true.
production level. I'm talking about
When it
production
really
level
comes
coding.
to your production coding.
And I think I was more, the bigger point I was talking about, just principles of how I'm thinking. I'm trying to think about what parts, because we agree you're delegating some parts to AI.
Yes.
Yes.
The question is only what scope and how to orchestrate it. That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to wrap my head around, because that seems to be changing
For every person,
quickly. Very quickly. So I'm just challenged as I'm learning this myself. I'm trying to approach it with a bit more of an open mind around how things could change, recognizing how the models have moved in the last 6 months, right? So that's all. So that I wasn't trying to say that I'm going to just go in one time prompt it.
No,
That's
no,
far
no,
from
no,
where
no.
I'm thinking.
Even
I
I'm
don't
not saying
understand
it will
that.
work in one prompt. What I am also trying to say is, yes, agents are changing. I'm not saying they're not, but for them to be able to efficient, like how you said, right? Why can't we build an agent that would analytically give where it lacks proficiency or efficiency, right? Because agents are not developed that way yet. Where we're still working on getting the fundamentals right for these agents, where they're able to build a project right from scratch all the way till the end. Like and if an agent is being able to build a project end to end, that's when a developer has to worry.
No, that'd be other thing.
Even then there would be. I know. We're progressing with time, and there. But that's essentially like when we're talking about like developing, right? The only time when an agent is able to build production from scratch all the way to the end just using prompts, without any. That's when I feel like AI has progressed to the point that it can like replace humans. But at this point, that's the efficiency, the what you said, right? Let's have an agent with the analytical skills to build through this, like to be able to like pinpoint all of this, right? I do not think it has. It's as efficient as we think it is, because it's not able to like pinpoint because what's an agent? It uses data that already exists, right? If you don't update it, then it will not update itself. It's limited by its knowledge also. In fact, now agents have become more better, where they're able to access to the internet, use like not just confined to what data has been uploaded into them, but also use pick and drop from the internet as well, right? Like GPT-5 and stuff. They're very they're efficient in terms of fetching information also, and picking up information that's listed on the web as well, right? So that's when it's getting more efficient. It will keep getting efficient and improving over time, but at the moment, if you do not have foundational skills, you will not be able to build a project end to end, is what I'm trying to say to you. That's the end of it. Right. So that's the whole reason I'm trying to explain to you, whether it's sometimes what happens, like in fact in terms of like overflowing and underflowing, why am I explaining to you is because it might throw your project completely off. You will not know why the error is happening because it's getting executed. There's no errors practically, but your system is just failing. Then you would not know, right, what is happening. For you to figure out those, why this is happening, you need to understand what is happening and where it is happening, right? Did I forget my water bottle? Can I get some water, Nitin? Thank you. So this is, so like I said, I'll go put up a Fibonacci series, it will give me this, figure out what's happening. These are the tests that's going on, right? Yeah, works. Thank you. Why did I use my bottle?
Yes, I may leave at 2,
That's
depending
fine.
on my wife. She's got a mother-in-law and we have a cardiac.
This is hot.
Not that much.
Is hot water here?
Not that much.
It's like there's steam coming out. So
No, it's not that much.
can I get a cup? Yeah. I will just put it in a cup so that I don't burn my. But yeah. Thank you. Anyways, so yeah. Oh, this is something that I wanted to show to you. Remember I told you use super was the keyword that would like import everything into the system, right? So here if you can see use super, if you do star, everything outside this would get imported into this module. Right now we're only importing that fib function into here. So that's why we're using it like that. Okay? Now moving on to We talked about fields. We talked about functions as well. We talked about implicit and explicit returns, semicolon, without semicolon. Then integers also we talked about. Casting. Now, casting was, if we did talk about casting, but I'm just going to give a quick recap. Again, these are all fundamentals, and like, we cannot keep going through why we need to learn this and all of that, right? I was just going to learn it, and then I'm going to see you how we're going to use it, right? So, casting is...
Assuming it's all important.
Yes.
All important, sure.
Yes. Casting is about converting one data type into another data type, okay? Or mixing these two data types. Let's say you want to add a number that is a U32 with a number that's U8 or I8. How would you do that? So there's this function that always you have to remember is it's very super basic. It's called any integer. Like let's say we're saying let A colon U8 equals to 6. Let B colon U32. Okay, and now we want to use the same value into B, right? So if you want to convert this into a U32, how do we do it? A dot try into dot unwrap. This is what we talked about the other day. This is the function, right? This is a predefined function that you can just use and do typecasting. Now next up that we have was we talked about these data types where we are talking about fields, I don't know, byte arrays, the integers, all of these predefined data types. But what if I wanted to create a type of my own? Right? I want to do maybe something with my type that does not require, like that's different from these, right? What if I wanted to create a custom type? That's where we use something called as enums. Now can Nitin tell us what enums is again?
What is the question?
Enums.
Predefined options kind of thing, like when you do it.
How is it predefined?
Yeah, you have to define it. Kind of like
Enumerations.
Hmm?
Enumerations.
status code.
Enumerations.
Thank you. It stands for enumerations.
Enumerations.
Okay. What does enumeration mean, Antoine?
It's just different, like types, variable types that you define.
It's just
Different variable types that you define yourself.
exactly. They're custom variable types that you can define. Okay. So one of the types of enum is a resultant option enum, where it's what are enums? Custom variable types that you can define on your own. Now one of the types of enum is a result and option, result option basically. Okay. What does this mean? Let's say we're doing, and I will show you this through this example in the result and option. So let's say we want to find out if a number is even or not, right? So we define a function where we take in an input of x, u32, and we're returning it as an option, right? Now what's an option? It's an enum. It's a custom type that we define. Inside these brackets, we are saying what is the value that you are returning? Is it a number, character, or an alphabet, right? So x percentile 2 equals to 0 will give you an option. Now what this option can be? It can be some or it can be none, right? It's like if you are executing a program, and that's where result one comes, right? If it is getting executed successfully, right? If it is giving you an error or if it is giving you an OK. So result is a type of option enum where you can use it for two things. It actually gives you the value of, like what type of enum you are using, plus also what is the value that you are returning with this enum. Right. So if you are, let's say, we are dividing A by A and B, two numbers, two integers, and what if the divisor, which is like below, is 0? That's when you send a result which is an error that you can't divide by 0. Give with that byte array message. Byte array is nothing but a like a sentence or like using words, right? Or otherwise you give it okay and then you give it the result of the division. You are getting my point how options and enums work, right? The same way, result is an option enum. So how would an option work? The same way, okay or error. So since this is just an option, we can define anything. That saying sum, do something with it, right? Or do nothing with it. Do nothing here. That's how sum or none works. Literally, that's what this is all about. We do a couple of tests here where we are, testing divide by 0, how it should fail, or if it's matching, if it's passing, by passing all of these result errors. And okay and stuff. This can definitely be defined by prompting. But this is where testing is happening, right? This is how testing is happening. Now all of these are unit tests basically. Unit tests are defined inside the Cairo file only by just writing CFG test and defining a module. Okay? Integration testing will create another file called for tests where all of the tests are sitting there for integration testing. Okay. Now the next up that I wanted to talk about was we talked about enums. We also yes. Now we are going to talk about mutability and immutability. We actually did talk about this a bit the other day, where we said how we have to use the word mut before a variable to make it mutable. All variables are fundamentally by default immutable. You cannot change their value once it's defined. But if you want to, let's say, create a mutable variable, that's when you use the word mut. Okay, it's again a keyword. Okay, a keyword is basically a word with a predefined purpose. Okay, now let's talk about snapshots. My favorite one.
Even when I'm stepping out, and you go and listen on YouTube. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I thought your video was what I was going to watch at home today.
It's okay.
Until I had to.
Now, what happens when you are passing a function? This is very important concept. So let me show you what is happening here. Let me sit down first. If you see source, and let's get into snapshots. Now, what are snapshots? They are basically nothing but, let me explain to you how ownership works in Cairo, okay, and how we will use snapshots. If you can clearly pay attention here, right, we are defining a person using a struct, okay. It's a structure of a person whose attributes are height and age, okay. And then we are calling, we are also defining some functions for it. It's like get age. We are also defining a test where we are testing the get age function if it is working properly or not. Okay. What will get age do? It will take the person which is of type this. Okay. What is struct person? It's a custom type that we have defined using the word struct. Okay. Structure, height and age. Now we are going to tap into the age by saying person.height, and it's going to return a U32 because that's the value of age, that's the type of age, right? Now what happened? Now come all the way here, okay? Wait a minute, where is that? No, come here, okay? Where we are testing the get age function, okay? We are defining a person of the type person, and then writing the attributes. His height is 180, his age is 30, okay, and we just ignore that, okay, and then we're saying let age is equals to get age of the person, right? Now what happens when you say get age person, and this person, I'm talking about this person that we defined here, right? The moment you pass it, you are passing it here, right? See, this is the function.
Each one's
Yeah. This is a basic structure of it's a default structure of a person that gives you only the types. It's not defined yet, right? Now it's a custom type.
Why is that not defined? You
It's not. What I'm saying is it's a custom type.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yes.
So I can define a variable of this type person,
Yeah.
right? And we define the variable. Now, though it might be confusing, we define the variable called person with a small p instead of a larger p, because the larger p is used for the custom variable. So we can also say here, let a colon person, like this, okay? Person equals to person, open bracket, then say this person refers to the struct that we defined.
Yeah.
And because it is a struct and has properties inside, that's why we're saying equals to, now that properties inside is this, okay, and then we're giving values, real values to those properties, 180 and 30, okay. Then what we're doing, we're defining another variable called age, and then we're calling that get age function, right? Now what happens here, the moment you are passing this a, we're actually passing this a, right, to that function, right, what happens, it will send this entire variable there. Now here you cannot write any assert because ownership is not with us. We're passing it to somebody, right? In Cairo, this is how ownership works. Basically, the moment you pass a variable to a different function, that function gets the ownership. Like let's say I am a function and I have a couple of variables defined, and I want to use your function to, let's say I have two variables a and b, okay, that defines the sum. Now if I add them, I want to add them, and you have the sum function. I am sending both of my variables to you, so I am giving you the ownership. Now I don't have those variables anymore. You're getting my point? Yeah. Now why does this not happen with U32, I32 and all of the already defined types, is because they have this return of ownership
To person.
No. They have the, so for example, I am talking about two variables that are, let's say U32, okay? I want to add them. Now I have these variables individually and you have the sum function, right? I am passing this, I am handing this over to you, and you will add them and give me back the sum function, right? You will also give me back the variables. This is predefined in those already defined data types. The moment you start defining your own data types, right? Like here we defined a data type using struct person. We defined a structure for a person. Person is a custom type. The moment we define custom types, that's when we have to explicitly define how ownership works. So let's say if I have this person and you have the get age function, I am sending this person over to you. Now you have to send this person back to me, otherwise I cannot access person only. You're getting my point? I will not be able to access any of his properties. Though it is defined inside me, once I send it to you, you have the ownership now.
I see. Okay.
Okay? Now, what are snapshots basically? Snapshots are nothing but, let's say you want to read a variable. Okay? You just have to read I have the person, and your function is going to only read my person's age, right? You are not going to change it. You are not making any addition to it. So snapshot is literally a picture of the person, and instead of sending the person to you, I am sending its picture to you. You got my point? You got the analogy? Where instead of sending the person to you, I am just clicking a picture of it and sending you the pictures.
Enough for you to do your function without.
Because you're reading it. You're
Yeah.
only reading it.
Right.
Because you're not changing it, right?
Right.
So it would be the same as what my person is. I am not giving you ownership
So
of the
you were
person.
describing snapshot as this is in the context of I think you were talking about mutable versus immutable variables.
No.
Not
This
linked
is
it up.
this is about ownership for custom variables.
Okay.
Because non-custom ones, like we saw integers, we saw felt and all of this, right? They have this defined within themselves already, predefined. You don't have to take care of ownership when these functions exist, right? But for custom variables that you are defining, like for example the person that has 2 attributes in it, this is a variable that you are defining. It's a variable type that you are defining. Now I can be Atika with the attributes, like I can be person A with attributes of height and age that are different. You can be person B with attributes of height and age that are different. He can be person C, right? All of this is happening. This custom variable now, when using in functions and I am sending it to you to read the age, right? If I send it to you, you get the ownership of the variable. Now my function, though it is defining it, will not be able to access the variable, right? You will have to send it back to me. So if your function, so as my function owner or the function itself or the developer, right? If this function only needs to be read, that means you are only reading from this function, not writing to it, because writing again comes differently. But you are not changing anything in this variable. You are not changing any of the attributes of this person A that we are talking about, right? You are only reading its age.
That's right.
That is 30. So what I will do, instead of sending this person, I am sending a snapshot of it, right?
Okay.
That's literally what a snapshot means. How do you send a snapshot? It's using this symbol. This @ symbol, it's literally @ okay, that means you are sending the snapshot of a person, okay, and you use that in the like in get age, right? Function get age person : @ person. So that means send a snapshot, do not send the entire person. And then in the inside the function you will use this asterisk to read the age, right? Getting my point? Perfect. Got everything?
No, but I could use 2 minutes to run to the bathroom
Okay, go ahead.
if anybody has to.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
I went,
Sorry. 30
It's
seconds.
okay.
One quick. Quick.
I'm anywhere to me.
It's okay.
99% today I will. Because wife and mother-in-law at a cardio appointment.
Antoine, you did not give me chips. You bought it from the store beside also, still you did not give me chips. How was your trip? How was everything?
Yeah, pretty chill. Just chill. Just spend some time with my family. Yeah.
You guys went to
Nostalgic
Bahrain?
trip.
You went to Bahrain?
Nostalgic trip to Bahrain, yeah. Went to like old places where I used to live with.
Ah,
Yeah.
When you were a kid.
Yeah.
I think we grew up in Bahrain, right?
I grew up when I was 3 years old to 16, yeah.
Where were you before 3?
Japan.
Oh yeah, you told me.
Where were you born? Japan?
Yes.
Oh. Ethnically you are from?
My dad's Belgian and my mom's Canadian.
Whoa, that's awesome.
They met in Japan.
Yeah. Everyone knows my parents' life story because it's so funny.
No, I didn't know. I didn't remember.
No, even I didn't. I found out that you spent your life in Bahrain only after you went to Bahrain. I was like, where's that one? Everybody's like, it's in Bahrain.
Even Ed was there, you know? We grew up together. It was in Bahrain.
Not
Yeah,
sure.
he was growing.
He was-
Not recently.
It kind of, it has mixed spells. One of them is Philippine. I don't know what the other is.
You like some?
Saudi Arabian chips.
Yeah.
No,
I used to eat those when I was little and you would get
Ah,
them
chili
for a
flavour.
real.
Yeah, chili flavour.
Not
Yeah.
from Saudi Arabia, from Oman.
Huh?
Oman?
Yeah.
You got them from Oman?
No, I bought them from the store on the street.
Then it's pointless to say they are from somewhere.
Why? I'm sure they were produced in Oman.
Just Oman?
Montreal.
No, it says made in the Sultanate of Oman. That is right.
Yeah.
But we used to get these for like a real, which means like
Yeah, they're cheap. Huh? They're even
Yeah.
cheaper in Canada.
they were really cheap.
Yeah.
No, they're not cheap in Canada. I'm pretty sure they're not cheap in
Yeah,
Canada.
it's pretty cheap.
How much is that?
Like you can buy the little packs, like,
No, this one how much is it for?
I don't know, but it's a big one. You know that's like the same as 10 small ones. It's 150 grams.
I know. This used to come in like 5 reals, which is like $1 is 3 reals. 2 reals.
Okay, not that cheap. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's not that cheap. That's what I'm saying. So divide by 2, this used to be like in $2.5.
okay, so like here it's like
$6
$6
or-
yeah. Pretty cheap though.
Excellent.
I
Okay.
mean, the small ones are cheaper.
Did you get snapshot?
Yeah.
Understood snapshot.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what if you wanted to change the age in this particular example? Instead of just reading the age, you wanted to change the age. That time I cannot send you a snapshot. Because if I send you a snapshot, you are only changing the image. You are maybe drawing on the image, right? You're not like changing the actual person. So, that's when the concept of, why is it not here? Reference comes into the picture.
Difference?
Reference.
Reference.
Reference, yes. Wait, let me show you. The reference. Oh yeah. Okay. Now, here, look at this. We're again defining a custom person, and now we're saying make the person older. Okay, and we're adding +1 to his age. Very simple function, very basic. Okay. Now, when we're sending this person to make person older function, that time ownership is passed, right? How now? Because we're generally sending it, what happens? If ownership is with, coming back to you and me, and I have a variable. I'm sending it over to you, and I was sending its photo or snapshot to you when you wanted to read it. Now, since you want to write it, I have to send the variable to you because now you are making changes to the actual data, right? How will you return the ownership to me? This is where we are using references. Okay, how does references work? You use the keyword ref, which means in my head right now, I don't know if it technically means this way or not, but just for my understanding, here's what I feel like what reference means. Reference means it's like pointing to my variable. It's like a pointer that's pointing to my variable that will edit my variable. You're getting my point? Reference is just referencing that particular variable and then making changes to it. You get it?
So nothing's actually being sent in this case.
It's not being
The
sent.
ref is
It's
just
just
pointing in.
reference. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
That's the reason. Like it's in my head. It's like that. I'm not exactly sure if it's exactly like that or not, but just for understanding purposes, it has
These
worked
are-
for me.
What you're describing, I think, what I'm seeing here, these are all different tools that make up commands
Yes.
and functions you do.
Yes.
Different tools used for different scenarios.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll send a snapshot, sometimes it makes more sense to use a reference.
Yeah.
Got it.
Snapshots are used when you're reading it. References are used when you want to write it. Now references can also be used when you are reading it, but it's like programming, how do I say this? Developer practices are using snapshots for like reading and references for like writing. Okay, and now
Oh no, I'm
yeah.
I remember references and pointers back in the day.
Yeah, C++ if you are
Yeah, when C came out, it was
Yeah,
the only
yeah,
reason
yeah.
it became famous.
Yeah, because of pointers. Yeah, that's why I was saying if you like. So now, but just for the life purposes, so that nobody holds me accountable for calling it a pointer, I'm going to explain you what references are. Okay, but you got the idea of what references is,
Yeah.
right? They're basically mutable. References can be changed, right? They also point. They are not the they point to this variable. They are not the actual structure, but can modify or mutate it. It still passes the ownership. So mute, something to remember is that the mutable word, right, is not written in the function that the ownership is being passed to, or in the definition of the structure. It's written when you are actually defining that variable of that type. Okay. Now another thing that I wanted to talk about was references. Okay, fine. So references and snapshots sorted on how ownership works for custom variables, right?
Conceptually, for the moment, yes.
Yes.
It's only when
yes.
you bring it together.
Yes. Okay. Now what? Now we're going to move on to copy traits, and
Copy
this is
traits.
and this is where we are going to introduce traits as well. Okay.
And all of these, Atika, that you're going through that are in SRs, these are all front end?
No, this is just back end Cairo programming. Yeah.
I see, but why are they in the SRC? I thought that was a front end thing.
No, that's
Mhm.
not the front
Source?
end thing. That's the source where your smart contracts will be sourced.
Ah.
We are going to initialize the smart contract project now, so you will see where your front end is stored, where your back end is stored.
Okay.
So we're getting there.
Yeah.
Just explaining this so that I don't have to go through when we're building the counter app, because that's gonna take some time. Okay. Now what you saw two ways, okay? One is snapshot for reading the value, right? It's read only. Reference is read and write both, right? Now there is another way which is called the copy trait. Now what is it? It's for complex types, right?
Copy. I'm sure it's common sense.
It's yeah.
Reference, I'm pointing over there.
Technically-
Target, copy, do this function, and then send it off, right?
Technically yes, but
Be something to do.
no. It's funny and how you put it, but here's the thing, okay? Instead of like sometimes because we are using this thing for like snapshot, okay, and we're also using like this for reference, right? Sometimes what happens is you might forget to send, to receive, or like humans errors, right? Plus another question that comes up is how does like already predefined variables like U8, U32 and all of these, right, where you don't have to worry about snapshots and references, how do they tackle this? They tackle it using something called as copy trait. Okay, and copy trait is nothing but, let me show it to you. It's basically written on the top, and it handles all of these returns implicitly. So what I mean by implicit handling is you don't have to specifically define. So remember how we are writing hashtags test or hashtag CFG bracket test, right? Those are like declaring what is happening here. So there is something called as hashtag, okay, and you write, where did I go? Yeah, and this is derive, okay, and if you say, let's say copy in the bracket, this is how you define a trait, right? This is a how do I say predefined trait, if you, any function that you write, let's say you write a function get age after this, okay? Because you declared it with this line, right? Now you don't have to worry about references, snapshots, nothing. Everything that's coming here will automatically get passed, right? So how do you do that? You don't define the function with it, but you define the variable with it, right? How did we, like we are defining struct person, right? If we are including this line on the top, this will also be implicitly managing and handling the references and snapshot part. You're getting my point? It becomes like a general data type that handles all together. You need to use this line, okay? Sure. Okay. Now what happens here? So you literally define the person, and then you don't have to worry about like the passing and the stuff because copy trait handles all of it, right? You do not have any because the actual declaration of the custom variable has this part written, right? When I declare a variable with that type, pass it to you, you are bound to pass it back to me, right? You don't have to like worry about like no issues, nothing happens.
Okay.
So what else is there?
I gotta take a call, guys. Sorry.
That's okay. Now, what happens here is in the only major difference why people don't use copy trait or why they use references and snapshots is because in copy trait what happens, right? Because you declare this with a variable. Now I have a person variable, right? When I'm passing it to you, it's passing a mutable version of this variable, making it copying it and passing it to you. It's not passing the original variable to you. So what happens in these cases is sometimes mutability is not properly recorded. You're getting my point?
Kind of, okay.
Yeah, because
You're
see, I have a
transferring some
variable.
value.
Yeah, exactly, and we're copying it, and then you are changing
because
it.
the default on the blockchain is immutability. So you're saying
Yes.
immutability doesn't get transferred in that case because it's going to that's why back to what you were saying earlier, explicitly define it, make sure that's 100% clear, so that way when you move
References and snapshots are more preferred by devs than copy trait is because when I declare the variable, now in a snapshot what I'm doing, I'm clicking a picture, sending it to you, and you're reading from that picture. During references, we're pointing it to this variable only, right? We're pointing whatever operations that you're doing to this variable. But in copy trait, I will just create another copy and pass it off to you.
And you're saying which is preferred by devs? The
Reference and snapshot.
reference and snapshot.
Copy only comes when you don't want the actual variable to be
Modified.
not just modified but like dealt with only. Like nobody should change the values of this variable, and whatever operations that needs mutable functions and stuff can happen directly with you. I don't want my original variable to change anyways.
Okay.
Right? That's when people use copy traits.
Okay.
So next up, that's me, that's you, that's.
No, it's the mobile.
Did you ring the bell while coming in?
Yeah.
There's a speaker,
Why does it sound like a
telephone.
no that dolls we used to get before, right? You turn them on and then
Sounds like
We didn't have dolls. Only this for girls.
that's me.
your cars also, sir. If you turn on cars also, they used to be like sound. What misogyny?
It reminds me of the Dalai Lama when I went to visit. I told this to you.
Yeah, like look at this guy, he will do dolls.
Tibetan music.
Have you never seen a doll in your life, Antoine?
I never played with them.
But you've never seen one also?
Yeah, I've seen dolls.
Then,
But
plus you grew up in Bahrain, okay? So outside every freaking park, they used to sell dolls. So you cannot tell me you've never seen a doll
I've seen dolls.
like playing music. Okay, I will get into this conversation of like. Okay, now we're going to define general traits. we talked about copy trait, right? Now there are different types of traits also. Okay? Plus, there are different types of default traits as well as you can define your own traits. The beauty of letting a dev do whatever they want is this only, that there are default traits as well, because we saw copy trait, which is like a default already defined and all of its functions are taken care of. Now you can also define traits, and we will look at how what are the existing traits plus how you define traits. Okay, and this is super important because if you remember, the skeleton of a smart contract was trait, action, implementation.
Conceptually,
Okay.
a smart contract,
Okay.
all you're because everything's visible on the blockchain, you're pulling together data points and putting
What
them in
are
some
you going
sequence.
to pull together is my question.
Well, it depends on what data is there and what you're trying to put. That just
Yeah,
right.
yeah. What? Yeah. Technically, yes.
Okay,
Like
just
what
making sure.
operation, like depending. Now, if you are talking about like a DeFi platform, then you are trying to pull in transaction data and like what all is happening, right? Who's the sender, who's the receiver and stuff. But if you are talking about, let's say, if you are talking about a platform like where you are
Well, let's
building.
come back to zero knowledge proofs or something, right?
Yeah.
The zero knowledge proof. You
Yeah.
have all this information about an individual. And so
How
forth.
are you
The smart
securing
contract
it?
goes in
What
and says
information?
this is, yeah.
Yes, exactly. What information you are taking?
Right.
Where the compliance source? What you are hiding? What action? Like if you are defining a trait, then what action should go and how that action should be implemented, right? That's all. That is.
Yeah, I'm just reading. Conceptually, I can see that. Okay.
Conceptually, yes. Now, where is place? Okay. So that was all about copy trait. Now moving on to
Traits to actions to implementation.
yes, I will show. So in this particular one, I am going to take an example of a game that you might have heard of. If you have played, I don't know, it's called Warcraft. Yes. So there are humans and there are aliens. Okay, where doesn't matter. Let's just take the example of a human and versus an alien. Okay, we're defining two custom types. One is human, the other is called orc, which is the alien. Okay. Human, basically we're defining three categories inside the human, three attributes, which is health, strength and intelligence. We're coming down to the same alien also has health, strength and intelligence. Okay. Now these are the custom types that we have defined like that. Okay. Because we defined these variables, now what is this way, you defined all of these things that can happen. Now what is this variable capable of? We're talking about the action. So this is how you define a custom trait. You use the word trait, the keyword trait, and then you define the action that you are building it on. Okay. So those variables are considered as like the custom variables that you have defined. That variable needs an action. Like what do you do with the three attributes that you have? You have health, you have strength, you have intelligence. What would you do with them? You don't have anything to do with them right now, right? How do you utilize it? So you define a trait of this type of variable. Now it's like what action would it do? That's why it's called an action. Okay. Any action has to always start with defining a new type of that. So just to connect it, this line connects that human with this trait. You're getting? It says function new, define a new. First initialize the human first, okay? Then you are giving it two different functions, that's train and study, to utilize its strength and intelligence. Okay?
Okay.
Now, what is reference of self? You are referencing it back to its own self, which is the human. You always reference it to self. Okay? Forgetting my point.
I'm with you. I'm just listening.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to pace if you don't mind. Keep going.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Now, what are we doing next thing? These are things that a human can do. Okay. Now coming to, we've just declared these functions, right? We've declared a function train, we've declared a function study. We have not implemented these functions yet.
Yeah.
This is where implementation comes into the picture, where we are talking about.
But in essence, you're saying here, a new human
Okay.
trains and studies. That's what a human action is. That's what by
Yes.
That's all you're saying,
Yes.
right?
For
But you
this,
haven't defined it yet.
this
You're just-
human,
you're
how
just-
did we connect it?
You're just nesting up different
Yes,
variables.
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
So they, like I said, right? It's trait, it's action, and then it's implementation.
Mhm.
Okay? Trait is basically an action is defined by a trait, but what I'm trying to say is that variable, right?
Mhm.
That variable is this part. First you define that custom variable, then you define the action trait, and then you do the implementation.
Mhm.
That's what I mean. Okay?
Mhm.
So we define the variable, we define the action trait.
Mhm.
Okay? But we have only defined it. We have not said what it's do. Like these are just functions. If you call them, you don't know what you can do in them because they're just declared here. They have not been defined completely, right? In the implementation is where you define what these functions are able to do. So here, if you can see, you use the keyword IMPL.
Mhm.
Okay, it's a keyword for implementation.
Mhm.
And then you say human action. This is just the name. You can even put A there.
Mhm.
No problem. This is just naming convention of what we are saying. This is the implementation of the human action.
Mhm.
This is just naming convention. Okay, so don't get confused. Now you use the keyword again of, which says this, whose implementation is this? Human actions. You're getting my point?
Yeah.
Implementation of human, implementation name of which action,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you first start with this function, which is function new, where you are giving those values, where you are giving those types rigid values, right? Where you are saying health is 100, strength is 20, intelligence is 20. You are defining a new human variable now.
Mhm.
Okay? Then you are saying in terms of train, now you are completely defining that function, where you are saying self.strength plus equals to 5 means add 5 to the strength if they train. Okay? And if they study, the same way, add 5 to, I think I add 10 to intelligence, or add 5 to intelligence. That's very simple. It's a basic structure that we're trying to build, right?
Yeah.
The same is for orc as well.
Oh yeah, the aliens.
The aliens, right? You define their health, strength, and intelligence. Then you define their action trait. Okay.
Same as human, yeah.
Yes, which is obviously same as human because they are also training and studying. Then you define that. Then you define an implementation for that action, which is like, let's say if they are training because they are alien, we are adding more strength to them because they are an alien. They don't have that much brain, so we are adding just 1 in their intelligence. That's very simple. You get my point?
Mhm.
How it's coming? How it's
And
getting.
is this a smart contract?
No, this is not a smart contract yet. I will show you.
But you said the flow is trait, action, implementation.
Yes.
And you're kind of showing this
Yes,
conceptually in this
in
context.
just Cairo. We will see how we can implement it in a smart contract, and we're going to do that with the counter app. But this, just to give you an easier example, where this is, you can see this is like with the 2 characters. That's
Yeah.
just getting, it's very
basic. That's
very
what
basic, yes, right? But just to show you the flow of how things work, how each of them are defined, and
See
how
how it
everything.
links, yeah.
Yes, how you create these characters and how you can call these. Now because here, now let's see, let me show you something else. Okay, now if you can see, you are going to this is how you define the now when you're now in your main function, now because this is our main function, we're testing the creation of the characters, right? Main function, you would just give it a name, and then you would say it's of the type human, and then you would say use humans implementation as a new character for this. Getting my point? That's just how it's defined. Okay, and then we can basically what is happening here, you're calling study, and then you are checking how much intelligence they have and just equating it to their certain amount of intelligence and seeing if your traits and everything work perfectly, okay, because it is a test there. Okay, now these are like traits that we were talking about, right? Basically how to define custom traits, implement it through implementation. There is also a way. Now like you said, alien and human, they had common
Traits.
yeah, they had common properties and attributes, right? They had common properties and attributes. Why are we wasting lines of code just to like define them separately?
Later, they're going to be doing different things. They're going to be measuring them or something, right?
Maybe.
Right,
But what if we don't like? Okay.
We want to pass zero knowledge between the two.
No, not yet. Wait. We'll get to ZK. I love how you all are so desperately waiting for ZK. And this was supposed to be done on day 2, but I think we did not have the mental capacity to like accommodate. Yeah. So here, now what is happening? A human and an alien have all the same attributes.
Yeah.
So why? Because, and I'm talking about when we're defining them, right? We're not giving the values to their attributes. Here, I'm saying this. Here, it's the same types. That's also U32, this is also U32. There is no difference of types also. So why define 2 different structs, right? Instead, that's where generics come into the picture. Generics, if you know the meaning of the term, it basically means generalized or like the general properties or like, I don't know, Google generics and see what does generics mean, Antoine?
What is generic?
Yeah, just like meaning.
It means,
It's the general, right?
It means
Generally.
like the opposite of specific.
You can go the opposite of specific. That's a very good analogy there. But it's literally that, combining all of the general properties / attributes, right? So if you can see here, now the strength and intelligence is what was different when we were defining it, but the health was the same. Both had, okay, so let me just scroll up so you know. Both, if you see, strength and intelligence was only different when we were defining these traits, right? But the health for both of them was 100. So what did they do? What can you do in generics? You say mod generics. Mod means module, and generics is like how you are defining generics, right? Then you basically define them individually for strength and intelligence. Next up, you call a trait action, okay, T. What does this mean? This basically means that this T, right, can either be orc or can either be human. You're getting my point? This action will be of the type orc or human, and both of them will have new, train and study. Because remember, when we were implementing the action trait for human, it also had new, train and study. For orc also it has new, train and study.
It's like a common denominator.
Exactly. The general or the generics. Exactly. That's the whole point of generics. The general properties, right? And then when you're using now what happens is, because you define one generic action, right? When you're doing implementation, you say impl, the name of the implementation, of, you call this now action, and in place of T you write the struct that you want to add. So human here, and then in terms of orc it will be action orc. You're getting my point? So take the value of that basically. Now there's another way that we can do this. I think there's more to it. Not here, in the next module, I believe, because I know we can change the whole implementation. But this is how you do generics, okay? Basically, the underlying implementation was different, but the trait derivation, right, or the trait definition was literally the same. That's why we defined a trait. We defined a single action trait and used it multiple times. You getting my point? That's how you usually do. Now moving on to so generics, references, snapshots, copy traits, in fact traits itself, how trait implementation and action and implementation works, understood, right? Everything clear till now?
Yep.
Yes, perfect. Next up we are going to talk about constraints. So constraints.
What is a world without constraints? Is it paradise or is it hell? Nobody knows.
Very nice analogy, but now, though I would have loved to go over constraints with you and break down complex, whole freaking complex topic and like the syntax and everything, the best part is they updated the version and now the bad syntax is gone. So it's as simple as here, look at this. You have again coming back to our human and orc example, right? You have human, you have orc. You define the action, okay? And you are giving it like multiple functions. Now here is when it gets complicated, when you are increasing the complexity by defining more functions, right? And what happens in humans implementation? You are doing the action for human. You are passing references and snapshots depending on if it is reading. For example, in get strength and get health, it's only reading the value of the health and reading the value of the strength. So we are passing the snapshot. You're getting my point? Let me just go and show you. So here now after all we have defined, now because we had so many functions, we defined it, we divide individual implementation for human and individual implementation for org, right? Now here we are going to basically test how a function is going to react. We're defining, basically what we're doing is we're defining multiple humans and multiple orcs. Okay, there's human 1, there's human 2, and then we're making them compete with each other, testing their strength out, doing all of this. And what is happening is, now if you see this one, we're basically defining a function that says human fights with a human. They have the same strength, and then how are they, like if their strength is equal, then hurt, call the hurt function and reduce 1 from their health. It's a very basic game kind of thing that we're trying to build here. But what happens, like because this is such a rigorous process, right? Now if you're doing, because this is like a combination, we're defining 2 humans and 2 orcs, right? Human can fight with a human, orc can fight with an orc, orc 1 can fight with human 2, human 1 can fight with orc 2. There's multiple combinations. Do you want to be able to write the same thing again and again and again and again, right? Because of the multiple, now because we only have 4, then it becomes 4%. Yeah, it's finite right now. But sometimes you might have combinations that you never know how long can go. So that is where you define it this way, right? Look at this. Put this down. Yep. Where you are defining a function called as fight. Okay. Can you try and read what this says?
All right. Function fight.
What is T1? What is T2?
Trait.
Perfect. Trait 1, trait 2 plus action of trait 1 plus action of trait 2 plus drop of trait 1 and drop of trait 2. Drop basically means like dropping those variables, like deleting those variables from the memory, right? Plus referencing. Now we are using a reference for opponent 1, which is nothing but the trait 1. Okay, these are variables that we already defined. Okay, in right now here only. Okay, this again trait 1, reference this one to trait 2, and then return a result enum with whatever you want to return, an empty this thing and a binary. Okay, what happens? Now if opponent 1 is alive or if opponent 2 dot is alive, and if you can see the exclamation mark, that's general programming which says not, which means if opponent 1 dot is alive is returning us true. If it's not true, that's when you execute this block. Okay, that's the same way we're defining how get strength would work, how they're fighting with each other, everything in a simple, in one implementation only, in one function only. You get my point?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
This is with the help of constraints. We can define a very generic function that will use it to create like multiple combinations with different types.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because we are using all of these constraints, like those angle brackets that we are using it, those are the constraints that we are using for each and every one of the like trait 1, trait 2 and different to define different combinations without individually taking their types. Right? You get my point? Conceptually you get my point? we gotta work with what we have.
No, I think it takes time to like to get
Yeah,
the feel
yeah.
that you would use
But
it to really understand.
exactly.
Understand it, that's it. But
Yes.
you're trying to just soak in
Yes.
the use case.
But
and
you
try to
still
make it-
do understand what we are generally
Oh, yeah.
overall talking
Oh, yeah.
about, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I hope. We'll see.
I hope
It's all- you only know once you start them.
I love to see you build an application for the hackathon, sir.
Given that they are using this,
Okay.
unions and ops and
Yeah.
defining most of the constraints,
Yeah.
eventually is the smart contract using this today? Or?
Yeah, not that particular one, but what we are going to be using for the counter. Like that's just a fancy way of explaining how things is working. Like, it's just with a very nice example of a game and with 2 characters and how these 2 characters are defined, then implemented, then what actions are they doing, all of this. Just to explain you in better how traits, custom traits, copy traits, and how custom traits, their actions and their implementations work. Plus, how would you use generics in them, where generics can be used, how do you use constraints to define generic functions, like that. Okay? You can actually build this on a smart contract, and it will become like a game where there's a human and there's a
Crypto kitty.
like
Crypto org.
yep. Okay. Now, the next up is where we start building our smart contract finally. Okay, just to give you a recap, we talked about Starknet, we talked about Docker images, we created a project using Scar, where we created unit tests with Cairo, right? And we are installing like dependencies from this package registry like Alexandria_math. We're also talking about Cairo's ownership model in terms of mutability, snapshots, references, etc. Right? Though we also talked about like generic. We also talked about like the general data types like integers, casting, constants, functions, and stuff. We also did enums, results, options. We did traits, and there's also one more type called arrays. But array is nothing but like it stores numbers. That's it. It can store numbers or characters. It's just a group of elements. Okay. So next up would be creating a project with scaffold. Let's look into it. Okay. Just check, type this command and see if it works for you. Okay, because we need this command in your system.
Which one? I need the repo first. Don't we have a? Oh, you mean sorry, my terminal. Sorry.
Your terminal, sir.
Yeah.
So what?
I have to do this from my
No,
root directory. Doesn't matter.
No, no, it
As
doesn't
long-
matter.
in
You
Linux.
just be in your folder directory, whichever folder your projects are in. I changed my folder directory to dev projects,
Yeah.
right?
SN Forge.
Hyphen
So what is
hyphen
this
version.
what is this command? 0.55.
It's giving you the version.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. SN Forge is used for smart contract. It's a Starknet Foundry. Okay, now we talked about front end with Scaffold. Remember, it's just a set of tools that helps you to create web apps on Starknet. It's like I said, mobile version is still under development for Scaffold UI, but we are anyways going to use the web version, right? So let's get into it. For using Scaffold, you need to have Node.js in your system. So if you can just do node hyphen hyphen version, you will get 20. I mean, I have 20, but it totally
Does
depends.
it matter if it's
No, it doesn't matter.
any version?
Yeah.
So this
Now
matters.
we're going to use this command that says npx create stark at latest.
No, not found.
What? What not found?
No,
You don't have node?
I do. I guess I don't. I thought I did. Sudo apt install Node.js.
Yeah, just copy the command and paste it.
Are you using Windows?
Are you in PowerShell?
I'm in Linux.
Yeah, Ubuntu Linux system.
WSL, yeah. Okay, install it.
Sudo apt. No, I don't understand. I think I'm always installing Node.
Maybe that's
Every
on
time, but then
Windows.
you install it.
Maybe that's on
I told
Windows.
this guy I have JS. I have it.
Maybe that's on Windows.
Yes. Sudo password for user help.
The one that
Yeah,
you
the
defined
Ubuntu
when you
password.
put WSL.
Yeah, what the hell is it?
On Friday, if you did it on Friday, I don't know, did you install
You
WSL?
already had WSL, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when you were installing, what password did you put for WSL? Try your laptop password only, maybe it should work, otherwise.
Yeah, I did that. I haven't.
Correct?
Only even, but we'll get it. The max it will take is.
I think it takes 3 or 5 attempts.
Can I do skip password? Three
No.
incorrect password attempts.
Well, exit and come back in. It's still gonna ask you your password, no?
To install, yeah, Node, it will ask you your password.
No, even when you exit
You say
WSL and
username.
come back
Okay, let me
in.
try it again. Let me try it again. So,
Go back in time. When do you remember installing WSL?
it was a while back, but I think I did 2 attempts once, and then I got discouraged. I left it for a little while, and like all these projects, right? Because you get these half-assed, like you guys were describing earlier. That's why. Give me a sec here. I think that is.
Like what? Maybe you didn't put any password. Did you just put
Yeah.
enter?
That's
I tried that.
No, it did say incorrect password. Okay, there is a way to reset your WSL password, but it's a bit lengthy as far as I know.
What do you have in there?
It's the Linux subsystem's password only. He cannot download anything on his Linux
No, I'm
system.
asking what you put in there. that is
Install
so-
new Linux.
No, you have to put a password when you start a Linux.
I know,
but you
but
can
I
put it.
just want to know what he's not getting access to.
You need
To
no-
the subsystem.
No, I can't install the package. I can't do anything to it, right?
I know, but
So
what
that-
else
that's
is
what I
there that
did,
you
yeah.
you gotta
Like why did you put such a difficult password?
I don't
No, he didn't. He just forgot it. He's had a
Yeah.
divorce. Give him a break.
What do you mean?
I mean, it depends. It was pre or pro or past.
right around the same time. It's very strict.
I can't remember password
God.
I'm going to
I
help.
didn't have one password set up now. I didn't have any systems. Now I have some. But evidently the systems, it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Install
Can you
new
have two
Linux.
WSLs under one window? No.
You can install new Linux.
You can install a new Linux subsystem, but I don't know how.
I know what I used to do. Back in the day, I would use that. You can put an Oracle. What is that?
Oh, the Oracle virtual machine.
Virtual machine. I would do that before WSL came to play.
Did you get it?
He does get it. What there are
I will
two.
enjoy some tips while you try and figure
There
your
are two that
password.
you can put in our. I used to do this. Put Ubuntu under Windows.
That's what it did.
Yeah, but WSL was not there.
Maybe type password.
Or password, exactly, or Bluetooth.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's password.
It is password?
I think so. He said he's right. You're brilliant.
That's not brilliant. That's the worst password.
I know, but because that's the thing. It's more like it's on a local machine. It's just me. I want you. This is the problem. You're not using the same conventions. I'm thinking, what's something I can remember easily?
Password 1 2 3 4. क्या बात है?
Did you get it? Ah.
You got it? What's password? I was going to kick myself. It's
No,
nothing.
because it's
Nothing.
Type Ubuntu.
You'll have to
So,
sit
yeah.
back and chill for some time with a beer, and then it will come back.
This is a disaster. So what do I do? What do I have to do now?
Install new Linux. Like that would be.
No, no.
You can do it.
I can do one in 10 minutes if you want.
Go. It'll help him.
Software.
No, I think there's a command to reset your password also, right? But I think you need your
I
system
don't think so.
administrator access.
Yeah, but I need a minute. What the heck? I should be able
No,
to.
we can't do it. You need
No,
to-
because for sudo you need the password of.
There's something like called like software.
Call what? Sorry.
Okay, to reset a forgotten WSL password, open PowerShell and run WSL-u root. That's
Still
it.
you need password for it.
But you still need password for it.
No, to enter the distribution, then use the command password to set a new password. It's pretty simple.
How many characters is the minimum? Do you remember?
No, go no.
So is it, Alan, say that one more time. What do I do?
Look, it says open terminal with PowerShell as administrator. Run the following command WSL-u root. Okay, if you have multiple distributions, which you don't, reset password, type password. I guess you would be going in as, what are you going in as when you log in? Ubuntu? Or what's that thing showing?
No, let's go back, cancel it, open this one.
That's okay. You want me to put it up on screen there?
I can leave it.
I can. No, you don't have to touch it. And this is my second projector. I'm a champ at this. Don't worry about it.
No. So after this
It should go to HDMI to just a second. Well, you know what? Me and my smart ass idea. Hang on. Look, I forgot it.
I think it's true.
Yeah, too sure. Okay, Owen, do what you have to. And
No, that's yours.
yeah. I know, I can switch.
Yeah, yeah.
Look up, it's on the top there.
Coming, 1 second. Yeah.
I'll switch to you when I'm.
Yeah, you know, because I had Node.js, and then this thing told me I may have had a too advanced version for this wallet. So I ran a command before to lower the version. I think that's what screwed this whole thing up.
Now talk about versioning.
Teacher, I reached this far. You were here when we got stuck. No, I'm telling her, you get focused. Look there. If you can set the password, I'm glad. Otherwise, I don't have any more tools for you. There is one more way you can.
No, you can't reset the password of it yourself. It just would ask him his like computer's admin password.
Wow. We are well.
The work.
Is it working, guys? Or it says, you know what?
Oh, Leo. Where is Leo?
He's the one who delegated Antoine and I came.
No. But he told me he's coming here like at 11.
I wish he would. I would like to see him myself. The Eid ka Chand. He literally, you should see him. Put him in a dark room and tell him to smile. You'll see only teeth.
We are live at
I can run them all, right? One shot?
Wait, one more.
One by one? Let's do 1 second. There's all.
Edit, delete.
God help. Please.
Nice.
You'll see eyes too.
Two down. Okay. 3.
It works.
Almost. Last one.
It will, because there's a lot of people that forget their WSL password if they're not using it for that much time. Right?
Yeah, you try to set
Yeah.
that, and then I'm following a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I don't follow this, and I have 2 AIs that
That's-
this is why I ask ludicrous questions. This is how I learn at home.
Option.
Exactly.
You ask it.
Yeah,
you
you
can answer
stand
it.
out.
Thank you.
Don't use
It works now?
I think so. So
Okay, I'm
It's
cutting
not
this
good.
off. Back to Atika.
So what do I? So Nathan, what do we do now? So I've done this.
Node.
Go to.
Go back here and I try.
Okay, Atika, I'm pulling this out. I may have to leave. I've given you guys 100 times head up. My wife will kill me if I don't get to my son in school and pick him up.
That's okay. The live is like published on this thing.
Oh, I've got
This is
what I
an
need.
opening technique.
I'll make additional labs
Yeah.
by tomorrow, or I'm gone from Starknet forever. I have only these many choices in life now. Yeah. I can't be doing more than I want. So forgive me, I've been very clear. I'm busy. I mean, it's passionate, but not my time and day. I'll try to come back, but I 99% won't have the bandwidth.
That's alright.
Because by the time I reach, the wife reaches, the mother-in-law reaches, and everything synchronizes, it may reach 4 o'clock.
Just please let me know if Leo is coming
I can't do anything.
About that?
You ask him. And it's the same situation you were in when you first picked me. I have no control on all these things. I just try my best because I see where he's coming from. 2 kids, 1 job, plus this. It's not easy. If this got created out of passion, then we have to thank the Lord. We have at least what he did, right? We have to take it from here, but I can't push it faster than I can.
Skip the password. No?
If there was password, then you couldn't log in as well.
Exactly. Yeah, you must have skipped it, right? So why is it giving it?
What do you want to say? Go to Firefox, I got Pro.
Sorry, I'm out of the Windows ecosystem for over like 7 years now.
So what do you use, Mac and Linux? Just Mac and Linux?
No, you don't need Linux if you are using Mac.
I see.
Mac has its own Unix system.
So you do everything in Mac?
Everything.
Every single thing. Right?
Yes, it's literally the same as Linux. Their operating system is built on Unix,
I see.
which is the same as Linux.
I see.
So you don't need anything on that. Like you don't need a WSL or because it's Windows subsystem for you.
But you don't try to break things on your computer and fix things around and break. It's harder to do on a Mac, right? No?
It's harder to do illicit things on your Mac. Like
Basic things.
no, illicit things.
Illicit things. Sorry.
Yes. Illicit things as in like pirated movies or anything
But
that's pirated
what about just breaking into software? Running things like
like
I don't know, just breaking into software. Like you want to, isn't it harder on a Mac than C? That's what I heard. I don't know.
I don't know somebody who just did not like the Mac OS so installed like a Linux system onto it.
Yeah.
You can do that. It's not like it's not possible.
Yeah.
I'm saying the only issue where you get is when you want to do things like the only reason I love Windows over Mac is when I want to do pirated stuff.
So I don't know why is.
Do you use that in India mostly?
What?
Pirate thing?
No, like generally, like if you want to like download, and I don't know why I'm saying this online, but if, like you want to download a software that requires money, so
I didn't know.
you can't do that on a Mac.
Hmm.
They're very hard to do on a Mac actually, like too many workarounds. Like you have to figure out like okay how to bypass this system, this firewall, this that, a lot of things. But on Windows it's very easy. If you want to do things, you can do things. You can download applications. Mac really has like a strong system where if you like download
This was cool. See, I've never seen a. But I.
set a CPU.
Yeah, but a Linux like
That's what him and me did nothing last year till I left my India. Just FYI, I took a
Sorry,
seat.
you did nothing last year.
All this Kiragi, the whole table, all this is all we did once he came in.
Yeah.
That's a full machine we put in for, we ended up with DeepSeek and all. And I already knew this
So what's the
technology.
hardware there? What are you running there?
That was state of the art. I just picked it up in 2 hours and brought it in. It's got a full
49. That's 49.
God, he'll tell you. I have the boxes in that side.
I see.
I have no clue. My older machines were mining machines which you are seeing in that bag. I used to mine using those. And that's not even anything worth speaking. Wait till he builds the next biggest.
What do you do?